The stars outside Argonne Station shone cold and distant, like silent watchers in the dark. Commander William Carter stood in the observation deck, arms crossed, his sharp eyes scanning the void. He had been stationed here for 5 years, far from the core planets, handling routine patrols and minor conflicts. Nothing ever truly happened this far out. Until now. The door behind him hissed open. A young officer stepped in, holding a data tablet close to his chest. "Commander Carter, High Chancellor Dravek requests your presence." Urgently. Carter turned slowly. "What's the reason?" The officer looked nervous. "Class 1 priority. That's all I was told." Carter nodded once. "Understood. I'm on my way." The council chamber on Argonne Station was small compared to the ones in the central systems, but still grand. Black metal walls curved upward like a dome, and soft lights hummed along the edges. In the center stood a tall hologram, blue and flickering, the image of High Chancellor Dravek. Dravek's long face and pale violet skin marked his species, the Colderi. He had ruled the council for over a century, always calm, always watchful. But today, there was something sharp in his voice. "Commander Carter," Dravek began without greeting, "a situation has developed. One that requires immediate containment." Carter stood straight. "I'm ready to assist, Chancellor." 3 hours ago, Dravek said, "we intercepted a faster-than-light jump signature on the edge of Karen's sector. The energy pattern was human." Carter frowned. "Human? That's impossible." "Apparently not," Dravek said coldly. "And it gets worse. That signal appeared just before a successful rebellion on Karen 7. Council forces were overrun. Not by locals. By organized soldiers. Human soldiers." Carter was quiet for a moment. He had read the old reports. Humanity had vanished centuries ago after achieving deep space travel beyond the Council's reach. When they stopped communicating, the Council assumed they were extinct or lost. Eventually, the Council passed the human ban, fearing their unpredictable nature. No human ship was allowed near Council space. "Have we confirmed their identity?" Carter asked. "Not officially," Dravek said. "But we both know there's only one species that leaves a trace like that. They've returned, and they're interfering with our rule." Carter kept his voice even. "Do we know their intentions?" "Intentions are irrelevant. They are banned. If they are helping rebellious systems, then they are enemies of the galaxy's peace. You are to travel to Karen 7 immediately. Assess the threat, contain it, and, if necessary, eliminate it. Am I authorized for direct engagement?" "If you find proof that humans are involved," Dravek said, narrowing his eyes, "you have full authority to act. We cannot afford to hesitate." The transmission cut. The hologram vanished, leaving the room silent. Hours later, aboard his ship Vanguard, Carter sat alone in his command chair. The crew was making final preparations for departure. Outside the viewport, Argonne Station grew smaller as the ship prepared for a jump. He reviewed the mission files again. Satellite images of Karen 7 showed strange structures, metal domes with human-style architecture. Combat footage showed armored figures moving with precision, not like untrained rebels. No alien species matched their body shapes. It couldn't be a coincidence. Carter rubbed his jaw. Part of him still didn't believe it. Humans, his own kind, were back after all these years. And now, they were enemies? He didn't like it. Something about this mission felt wrong. Too quiet. Too rushed. He leaned back in his seat as the countdown began. FDL drive charging. Jump in 5, 4, 3. The stars stretched into white lines. The ship jumped, vanishing into hyperspace. Whatever waited on Karen 7, Carter would face it. But deep inside, something told him this wasn't just another mission. This was the beginning of something much bigger. The planet Karen 7 spun slowly below, wrapped in clouds and war-torn land. The Vanguard entered orbit quietly, its engines humming like a low whisper in the dark. Commander William Carter stood on the bridge, watching the surface through the main display screen. The city of Delos, once the main colonial capital, now lay in ruins. But the ruins were not recent. No signs of chaos or senseless destruction. In fact, Carter noticed something strange: new construction. The camera zoomed in on the surface. Dome-shaped shelters had been built using clean, silver materials. Solar panels lined the rooftops. Water lines ran through narrow channels. It didn't look like a rebel hideout. It looked planned. "Commander," said Lieutenant Brell, a pale-skinned Falari officer, "no resistance detected. Scanners show low weapons activity. Civilians are moving freely. Bring us in," Carter ordered. "I want boots on the ground in 20. The shuttle landed on a flat platform near the city edge. Carter and his team stepped out, armed and alert. The air was warm. The sky above was gray and heavy, but there was no gunfire, no signs of active battle. A group of people approached, unarmed civilians. They looked calm, not scared. One woman stepped forward, her clothes simple but clean. "You're from the council," she said. "I'm Commander Carter," he replied. "We received reports of a rebellion here. Are you the leader?" The woman shook her head. "No, we didn't start this." "They did." "They?" Carter asked. Before she could answer, footsteps approached from the side. A squad of armored soldiers appeared, tall, human-shaped, wearing smooth black suits with blue visors. They stopped at a distance. Their leader stepped forward and removed his helmet. He was human. Carter stared. The man had short black hair, sharp eyes, and a calm face. He looked to be in his 40s, maybe older. He moved with confidence and spoke with clarity. "My name is Elias Grant," he said. "And I know who you are, Commander Carter." Carter kept his hand near his blaster. "You're human." "Yes," Elias said. "And so are you." Carter's team tensed. He raised a hand to keep them still. "You were banned," Carter said. "Centuries ago. The Council declared your species a threat." Elias gave a faint smile. "We left the galaxy to avoid becoming what the Council feared. We evolved. We united. Now we've returned, not to conquer, but to free those under the Council's control." Carter studied him. The man was calm, peaceful even. There were no signs of aggression. "And Karen, 7? Carter asked. "You helped them rebel." Elias nodded. "We gave them the tools to govern themselves. No more forced trade. No more taxes sent to distant council planets. They chose freedom." "This is treason," Carter said flatly. "Or truth," Elias replied. "Depending on which side you're on." They walked through the city together. Carter saw schools being rebuilt, power grids restored, food being shared. It wasn't chaos, it was order. But not the council's kind. It was something else. It felt honest. Elias continued. "The council doesn't rule by peace. It rules by fear. You've seen it. You've followed orders, but you've seen the cracks." Carter said nothing. Deep inside, something in him stirred. Doubt. They returned to the shuttle pad. Carter's team looked uneasy. No shots had been fired, no violence. But everything felt like a quiet storm. "I won't stop you, Carter," Elias said. "You'll report back. The council will come. But remember what you saw here. And ask yourself, who's really the enemy?" Carter didn't answer. He boarded the shuttle and sat in silence all the way back to the Vanguard. That night, in his quarters, Carter reviewed the footage. The clean cities. The organized people. Elias Grant's words. It didn't look like a rebellion. It looked like a beginning. He stared out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, the council still believed it controlled everything. But maybe it was already too late. The silence in the briefing room was thick. Commander William Carter sat alone, reviewing the recordings from the surface of Karen, 7. Every frame showed signs of order, not chaos. Children playing in clean streets. Workers building homes. Soldiers helping, not harming. Nothing fit the image the council had given him. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, eyes focused. "They're not rebels," he said aloud, though no one else was there. He tapped a button. The image of Elias Grant appeared, frozen mid-sentence. Carter studied the face, firm but calm, worn but not angry. It wasn't the face of a warlord. It was the face of a man who believed in something. An alert flashed on Carter's wrist communicator. "Private transmission incoming," the voice said. "Source, unknown. Encrypted human channel." Carter hesitated, then accepted. The screen blinked, and Elias Grant appeared again, this time live. "I knew you'd watch," Elias said. "Curiosity runs in our blood." Carter crossed his arms. "You're violating council protocol. This is a restricted line." Elias ignored the warning. "You're not like the others, Carter. You listen. You observe. That's why I'm talking to you." "You're a wanted man," Carter replied. "And the council doesn't allow second chances." Elias leaned forward. "The council fears us because we're not under their control. They call it peace, but it's a cage. That's why we left so long ago. We didn't vanish. We evolved." Carter stayed silent, but his mind was racing. Elias continued. "We went beyond the edge of known space. Thousands of us. Scientists, engineers, leaders. We built something better. No council, no empires. Just people living free. Then why return?" Carter asked. "Because the galaxy is still chained," Elias said. "We can't stand by while planets suffer under taxes, threats, and forced alliances." Karen, 7 asked for help. So we helped. Carter's voice was cold. The council sees that as rebellion. And maybe it is, Elias said. But rebellion isn't always wrong. Later, Carter met with his first officer, Lieutenant Brell, in the ship's war room. Sir, Brell said, satellite reports show rebel activity spreading to nearby systems. Karen, 8 and Karen, 10 have both cut ties with the council. Any sign of human involvement? Carter asked. Same patterns. Same tech. Same tactics. It's coordinated. Carter nodded slowly. They're not just back. They're organized. Do we strike, sir? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, no, not yet. Brell blinked. Sir, I'm not convinced they're the enemy. Not like we were told. That night, Carter couldn't sleep. He walked the empty corridors of the Vanguard, his thoughts heavy. He had served the council all his life. He had followed every order. But something had changed on Karen, 7. The council wanted him to see rebels, traitors. But what he saw were builders, teachers, protectors. He found himself standing at the observation deck again. The stars outside hadn't changed, but he had. He remembered something Elias said. Ask yourself, who's really the enemy? The words echoed in his mind. Carter returned to his quarters and opened a secure report for the council. He wrote about the power grids, the organization, the peace. But he left out one thing, the humans. Not a word about Elias Grant. Not yet. He closed the file, sat back, and stared into the dark. For the first time in years, William Carter wasn't sure where he stood. But he knew one thing for certain. The truth was no longer as simple as he'd been told. The Vanguard drifted in orbit above Karen, 7, its sleek hull glowing softly under the system's twin suns. Inside, the air was tense. Commander William Carter sat in the central command chamber, facing the holocom terminal. A transmission was coming in, secure and direct from the Galactic Council. The hologram of High Chancellor Dravek shimmered into view, tall and imposing. You've had time to assess the situation, Dravek said without greeting. Report. Carter stood straight. His voice was steady. Karen, 7 is under local control. The rebels are organized, well-equipped, and calm. There is no evidence of civilian harm. Dravek's eyes narrowed. No chaos? No disorder? No, sir. In fact, it's the opposite. The population is stable. Infrastructure is improving. They're functioning independently. Dravek stepped closer, his voice colder now. Then it is worse than I thought. They are not rebels. They are revolutionaries. And someone is helping them. Carter stayed quiet. Dravek continued. We've identified signs of human activity on 3 other nearby systems. This isn't an isolated case. It's a coordinated campaign. You will prepare a strike, Commander. Strike? Carter asked. Yes. Full assault. Karen, 7 will be the example. Crush them before others follow. Carter's jaw tightened. Permission to suggest an alternative, Chancellor. Diplomacy. A meeting. An investigation. There is no room for weakness, Dravek snapped. These are illegal movements. Your orders are final. We attack in 48 hours. The signal cut without further discussion. The command center fell silent. Carter looked around. His officers waited for orders. None of them spoke, but he could see it in their faces. They were unsure too. Later, Carter met privately with Lieutenant Brell in the ready room. I need your honest opinion, Carter said. Brell paused, then spoke carefully. Sir, I've served with you for 4 years. You don't make decisions lightly. But I've seen Karen, 7 with my own eyes. It's not a war zone. It's a working city. Would you follow an order you believed was wrong? Carter asked. Brell looked down. I would follow you, sir. But others might not. That night, Carter accessed the encrypted line again. Elias Grant appeared on the screen. They're going to attack, Carter said. I know, Elias replied. We're preparing to evacuate civilians. You won't win in a direct battle. We don't need to, Elias said. We just need to survive long enough for others to see the truth. Carter leaned forward. I want to help. But if I disobey a direct order, I'll be branded a traitor. Elias nodded. You have to choose, William. The uniform or the truth. You can't wear both much longer. Carter ended the call in silence. The next morning, Carter gathered his senior officers. We will delay the strike, he said. Brell blinked. Delay. We'll report technical issues. Fuel calibration. Systems checks. Anything to buy time. A few officers exchanged glances. Some nodded. Others said nothing. If anyone objects, Carter said, you're free to file a report with Central Command. I won't stop you. No one spoke. Hours passed. Carter watched from the bridge as evacuation ships left Karen, 7 quietly, heading for hidden settlements deeper in space. His chest felt heavy. He wasn't leading a mission anymore. He was walking a line between duty and conscience. Suddenly, an alarm rang out. "Commander," an officer shouted. "Incoming message from Council Fleet Alpha. High Chancellor Dravek is en route with a strike force." Carter's hands tightened into fists. Dravek was coming himself. He turned to his crew. "Maintain current position. Hold fire unless attacked. We delay as long as we can." No one questioned him. As the vanguard floated in the path of the incoming fleet, Carter stared into the stars. The Council's judgment was coming fast, and he knew what that meant. The next choice he made would change everything. For him, for Karen, 7, and for the galaxy. The stars above Karen, 7 were no longer still. Flashes of light rippled across space as the Council fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Warships filled the sky, sleek, black vessels lined in silver. Their formation was perfect, their purpose clear. Commander William Carter stood on the Vanguard's bridge, watching the enemy arrive. "They're early," said Lieutenant Brell. "They're impatient," Carter replied. Dravek won't wait for excuses. The command deck was quiet. Tense. Every officer watched Carter. They were trained for battle, but none had prepared for this. A standoff against their own government. A message request blinked on the main screen. It was from High Chancellor Dravek. "Put it through," Carter said. The Chancellor's image appeared, cold and sharp. "You were ordered to begin the strike, Carter," Dravek said. "Instead, I find you orbiting above a rebel world doing nothing." "I delayed the assault to protect civilians," Carter said calmly. "There are evacuation efforts in progress." "I gave no such permission," Dravek said. "Disarm your ship and surrender command. I will deal with this myself." Carter didn't move. "With respect, sir, I will not stand by while you bomb innocent people. Karen, 7 isn't a threat. It's proof the Council lied." Silence. Then Dravek's voice turned to steel. "You're relieved of duty, Commander. Power down your ship or be fired upon." The screen went black. Carter turned to his crew. "Prepare for evasive action. Do not fire unless fired upon." Lieutenant Brell stepped forward. "Sir, if we resist, there's no going back." Carter nodded. "I know." The first shot came fast. A Council destroyer locked onto the Vanguard, firing an energy pulse. Carter's ship shook under the impact, but shields held. "Damage to forward shields," an officer reported. "Return fire," Carter said, "but only at weapons systems. No kill shots." Missiles launched. The Vanguard struck cleanly, disabling the destroyer's main cannon. The enemy ship drifted, powerless. The crew moved quickly, trained and focused. But not everyone was with him. On the lower decks, a group of loyalist officers armed themselves. They believed Carter was committing treason. They moved toward the bridge, determined to retake the ship. "Security breach on Deck 3, came a warning. Carter drew his sidearm and stood. "Brell, hold the bridge. I'll handle this." He moved through the corridors quickly, boots echoing on metal floors. Sparks lit the hallway as blaster fire tore through the air. Carter found 3 officers, his own men, trying to override control of the engines. "Stand down," he shouted. They turned their weapons on him. "You've betrayed the Council," one yelled. "No," Carter said. "I've stopped following lies." They fired. Carter dropped behind cover, returning fire with precision. One went down. Another froze. The third surrendered. Breathing hard, Carter moved in, disarmed them, and signaled security to take over. Back on the bridge, the Council fleet moved closer. Dravek's flagship approached, massive and bristling with weapons. "They're preparing for full bombardment," Brell said. "Orders, sir?" Carter stood tall. "We stopped them." He activated a comm line to Karen, 7. "This is Commander Carter. Council ships are preparing to strike. If you can fight, now's the time." Elias Grant's voice answered instantly. "We're ready." From the surface, hidden launch pads opened. Human ships, small, fast, and armed, blasted into the sky. They moved like lightning, striking Council ships with surgical precision. The fleet was caught off guard. Carter led the Vanguard into the chaos, targeting Dravek's flagship. The battle turned. Council ships, confused and disorganized, began to fall back. One by one, their weapons were disabled. Carter's tactics were clean, controlled, enough to neutralize without mass destruction. He wanted to win without becoming what the Council feared. Finally, the Vanguard locked onto the Chancellor's flagship. Carter hesitated. "Open a channel." "No response," Brell said. "They've shut comms." "Then fire at the engines," Carter ordered. A bright flash lit the stars. Dravek's ship went dark, drifting powerless into space. The battle ended. Silence returned to orbit. No cheers. No celebration. Only the heavy weight of what had just been done. Carter sat back in his chair, exhausted. He had crossed the line, not out of anger, but out of duty to the truth. The fleet would report him. The Council would call him a traitor. But he had stopped a slaughter. He had chosen conscience over command. And now, the galaxy would have to decide who the real enemy was. The Council's fleet had been broken, not destroyed, but scattered, confused, and humiliated. Above Karen, 7, the skies were quiet again, but no one felt peace. Commander William Carter stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, staring at the black void beyond the viewport. Dravek's flagship drifted in the distance, powerless and silent. But Carter knew the High Chancellor wasn't finished. "Not yet." "Status report," he said. Lieutenant Brell checked her screen. "Minimal damage to our systems. 3 of their cruisers are retreating. 1 remains near the edge of the sector, likely waiting for orders." Carter nodded. "Keep shields up. No one fires unless they fire first." He turned to the comms officer. "Any word from the surface?" "Yes, sir. Elias Grant is requesting to speak with you." Minutes later, Carter stood once again in the holocom room. Elias Grant's image flickered into view, calm but alert. "That was fast," Elias said. "You stopped a slaughter." "I delayed it," Carter replied. "They'll come back. Stronger." Elias nodded. "Then we'll be ready." Carter stepped closer to the projection. "This can't turn into a galaxy-wide war." "It already has," Elias said. "You just made your choice." Carter looked down. He had disobeyed orders. Fought the Council. Aligned with a banned species. His career, his life, would never be the same. "What now?" he asked. "Now," Elias said. "You help us finish what we started." Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. "Unidentified ship approaching fast," shouted a voice over the bridge speakers. Carter rushed back to the command deck. On the main screen, a massive ship tore through space toward them. A warship unlike any Carter had seen. Sharp lines. Black hull. Red, glowing engines. "It's not Council," Brell said. "No." Carter muttered, eyes narrowing. "It's something else." The ship slowed as it entered orbit. Then a signal lit up on the comm screen. "High Chancellor Dravek." But something had changed. When the hologram appeared, Dravek looked different. He was no longer calm or collected. His hair was disheveled, and his face was filled with fury. "You," he hissed. "I gave you power. I gave you rank. And you betrayed the order that held this galaxy together." Carter stood firm. "You gave me lies. You called control peace. You used fear to keep the stars quiet." Dravek slammed his hand down. "You don't understand what you've done. The humans were banished for a reason. You've welcomed fire back into the galaxy." Carter's eyes locked with his. "The fire was always there. You just tried to bury it." The hologram flickered with static. "You will surrender, Carter," Dravek said. "You will be tried, and your name will be erased from history." "I won't surrender to tyranny," Carter replied. "And I won't let you silence the truth." Dravek's ship opened fire. The first shot struck the Vanguard shields. Carter's crew responded quickly, dodging, shielding, returning non-lethal fire. But Dravek wasn't holding back. He had come for blood. Evasive maneuvers. Carter shouted, "Target their engines again." The Vanguard spun through space, narrowly avoiding missile locks. Council loyalists on Dravek's ship fought with brutal precision. But the Vanguard was faster, smarter, and now aided by incoming human ships from Karen 7. Elias's fleet joined the battle. Together, they struck in waves. The combined force hit Dravek's flagship again and again, focusing only on disabling, not destroying. "Shields failing," shouted Brell. "We need to finish this now." Carter pointed. "Aim for their control tower." One hit. No casualties. A final burst of energy fired from the Vanguard. The bolt tore through Dravek's ship and struck the tower cleanly. The lights on Dravek's ship flickered, then died. It was over. Silence returned. On the bridge, Carter exhaled slowly. "Stand down. All weapons off. Broadcast a ceasefire." He sat down in the command chair, feeling the full weight of his choices. Dravek had come with fury, but he left defeated. And with that, the Council's greatest symbol of power had fallen. Hours later, Carter stood in the communication chamber. A new message was being prepared, not one of war, but of truth. He recorded his voice for the entire galaxy. This is Commander William Carter. The Galactic Council lied about the humans. They are not our enemies. They are our future. The Council used fear to rule, but fear is no longer enough. Freedom begins now, not with destruction, but with choice. The message was sent to every system, every station, every outpost. Across the stars, people would hear the truth. The line had been crossed. The old order was cracking, and a new one was rising. The sky over Karen 7 was calm now. No warships hovered above the horizon. No gunfire echoed through the valleys. The people, once hidden in fear, walked openly in the streets again, rebuilding homes, planting crops, and speaking without whispers. From a high balcony above the Capitol, Commander William Carter stood looking down at the city below. The sun was rising, casting a warm light over the silver domes and green hills. It felt like something sacred. It felt like peace. But he knew it wasn't over. Not yet. Inside the city's new council hall, Carter met with Elias Grant and the leaders of several liberated worlds. Delegates from planets once controlled by the Galactic Council now gathered freely, without titles, without orders, and without fear. Elias stood beside Carter, addressing the group. The Council's influence is fading, Elias said. But their power is not gone. They will try to rebuild. They will try to silence us again. Murmurs spread across the room. Carter raised a hand, and silence followed. We're not here to take revenge, he said. We're here to build something better. A galaxy where people choose their future, not have it handed to them by fear. An older delegate from the planet Adranos stood. And what will that future look like? Carter answered, steady and sure. It starts with truth, then justice, then freedom. Each world will govern itself. No more taxes to distant rulers. No more force laws. And no more lies. Heads nodded around the room. People were listening. For the first time in decades, they believed real change was possible. Back aboard the Vanguard, Carter packed his things quietly. His uniform lay folded on the desk. The council insignia looked hollow now, just a symbol of a past that no longer held meaning. Brell entered the room. You're really leaving? She asked. Carter nodded. The council will come for me. I need to stay ahead of them. Keep spreading the message. Brell looked unsure. You don't have to go alone. Carter smiled. I'm not. I have a destination. A signal was received from a sector beyond our maps. Unknown origin. Human tech. Maybe a colony that never returned. Maybe something more. You're chasing a ghost. No, he said. I'm chasing hope. Brell saluted him. You were the best commander I ever served. Carter returned the gesture, but not formally. It was a farewell between equals. As the Vanguard lifted off one final time, Carter watched Karen 7 shrink below him. He wasn't running. He was moving forward. Word of his message had already spread. Systems near the outer rim declared independence. Soldiers refused orders. Council facilities were abandoned. The galaxy was waking up. He set a course for the unknown region beyond Sector 9. The stars stretched in front of him like a promise. He didn't know what he would find out there. More humans, new allies, or new dangers. But he wasn't afraid. He had seen what one choice could do. He had seen people rise when given truth. And he believed they would keep rising. As the ship vanished into hyperspace, a message echoed across the stars. The council banned humans too late to stop them. And now, they couldn't stop the idea they carried. Freedom.